2025 WTF. So we're here today to discuss all the wild stuff, crazy stuff that's happened in 2025 so far. This video should not be too long. I have my little tablet here. If you guys watch, you guys know I like to be a little organized with things and talk about things in order. So I'm going to briefly touch on a few of these things. And yeah, this has been a crazy year. I may have forgot a few things, but it's just so much has happened to the point where it's like, where do we even keep up? So we literally start the year. We literally start the year off like a few hours in, 3 hours in the year, in New Orleans, Louisiana. There's already people got ran over by a guy that was born in Texas. Apparently, he started in the military at Fort Bragg, which is now Liberty, and that's in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And that is deemed a terrorist attack. So we start off the year with that massive event in New Orleans. I don't remember how many people got killed. I think it was like it was a lot. Like, I think over 30 got injured. It was chaotic. And then the same exact day, you had the Las Vegas Tesla bombing, which happened in Las Vegas. The Tesla in front of a hotel. The guy also served in Fort Bragg, which is outside of Fayetteville. So both of these people served in Fort Bragg. I remember it was like trending and people were trying to like connect those two dots together. Me personally, Fort Bragg, I grew up outside of Fayetteville. Fort Bragg is such a big base. It's going to be hard even, who knows they even know each other. Like, Fort Bragg really is huge. Like, it's a pretty big base. And then after that, you had the New York City nightclub shooting that happened at, I believe it was Queens, New York. It had over 11 people was shot in the club and stuff like that. So that was literally the first day. The first day of 2025, you had 3 events listed that just just shut off right there. So we start off the year with violence, chaoticness, very hostile, terrorism, toxicity. There was a lot going on. The next few days after that, we had the Southeast tornado outbreak. This didn't really hit mainstream news too much, but I do keep up with weather events. So basically, a front came through and a bunch of tornadoes hit Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and southern Tennessee. So you had like a big tornado outbreak, and I know a few tornadoes hit the gas refineries down in what's that city called? Beaumont, Texas? No, Port Arthur, and that was affected by a lot of tornadoes. So a tornado outbreak did happen. Next up, you had a little softer topic here. It's a little softer here, but it's congestion pricing in New York City. I know congestion pricing is a big controversial thing that's happened in New York. You had the state of New Jersey, and you had a lot of things happen the years prior that led up to this event we're at now, where they are in New York right now. You had the citizens were outrageous about this. People were protesting. People were not feeling this. I did see people get arrested and caught for having ghost plates and tags you can't see, and little fake plates, stuff like that. So people are trying to find little scheme arounds, run around, stuff like that. But overall, the people are not happy. People have been pissed. I haven't seen it online. I haven't seen a reaction from the folks and commentary, stuff like that about the situation. Me personally, my thoughts on that. At first, I did see the governor. It was at $15, and then they dropped it down to $9. That's during peak hours, and I believe it's $2 or $3 at midnight, and then the big the 18-wheelers get charged $21. I believe is crazy. Congestion pricing. I don't know. My thoughts on it. I don't really have one. I don't have a strong opinion on that particular topic. It's I see both sides, but New York City is expensive. Paying $3,000 for a little box this all this right here, where I'm at right now, this little shoebox here, and you open this closet up. It's probably about $3,000. You might have to go out there and share a community bathroom, and then having a car in New York City. I've been parking little parking decks. They're expensive. If you have a car in New York, you're spending rent. Literally, you're spending rent on that vehicle. Just parking by itself is rent. It's expensive up there. So they're taxing it for having a car, and I just feel people are going to be leaving New York City in droves like they have been doing. They were moving down south to the Carolinas, Florida, Georgia, Texas, DC. Those southern cities are starting to get the raft of that. So I feel like once this like goes in more and more, I feel like people will be leaving New York because New York overall is hell of expensive. So next up is Richmond, Virginia has been out of water for like 3 days, 4 days, and mainstream media has not talked about that. So I guess like the water treatment plant, they had like some snow, and the water treatment plant failed in Richmond, and apparently they've been lacking drinking water, so they've been having to boil their water in Richmond. And this Richmond is a state capital city. This has not been like mainstream news as much. I haven't really heard much about it. I like just scrolling and seeing Richmond's out of water, and I'm like, oh. So I looked more into it, and I guess it was like a water treatment plant issue. And Richmond, like I said, is the state capital. Is about 1.5, 2 hours from DC, I would say. On a good traffic day, so it's really close to like the district, and Richmond is not poor. So it was surprising to see a city like that out of water. And this is a second state capital. We had Jackson, Mississippi a few years ago without water. Richmond, the same thing happened there. And you had Flint, Michigan is not a capital city, but a city that had a water issue. So what's going on with this country now? Next up, you have what's currently going on, which is the California wildfires. And this has been a pretty, on the internet, it's been pretty controversial, but basically 2 days before the event, the National Weather Service did post about, high destructive winds were coming to the area. You have the Santa Ana winds, which are pretty normal, but that's for the Santa Ana winds typically are at the end of the year, so around September, October to around December is when they kind of get rampant, and they have them from time to time. But 100 miles per hour is not normal, so they did issue a extreme wind warning 2 days before the events actually happened. And this event that's coming in here is actually affecting the southeast with snow, which is today and tomorrow. Texas, Dallas is getting snow up in Texas, and the Carolinas, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia will also have some snow out in a little ice and snow event. And this is the same front that has caused all of that in California. So the way the weather typically works in this country, you have the jet stream, everything comes from west to east. So this is like just a general pattern. Things come up from the west. So you have storms and low pressures come up from the west. You dip down, there's like a trough that like push things down to like Texas or like the southeast. And you have things going on like that, or things just come straight on through. California, it typically misses Southern California. Like things like will go like up and around. So things go up like that and they kind of dip in. That's like the jet stream. That's how it works. And Southern California, like a low with no moisture came through, and whoosh, so you just had like a bunch of wind. You had like a high pushing winds down because like winds would chase the low. That's typically how like what works with weather. Winds follow low pressure, and high pressure typically is calm. There's no rain. There's nothing going on around highs. So that kind of stirred up a lot of stuff here. And mind you, California has not had rain in months. Well, Southern California. So you have months of no rain, extreme winds, things knocking through power lines, and that just caused a lot of friction. And like when power lines get, hit with wind, and like, how like when they go out, and they do like a little, that kind of, they make that little animation, and you have like the little electrical particles like flying everywhere. That is hitting the trees. That's very hot, and the trees are very dry. So that's like causing these massive fires that cause like the Palisades fire. But I did see people were getting arrested for starting arson, water fires. I believe the fire in Hollywood Hills, I think it was called the Sunset Fire. I believe someone got arrested for that. The Eaton Fire, I'm not sure what caused that one yet. There's been a lot of other fires that happened throughout Southern California, and it's just been it's been a lot. I did see that those fires are supposed to be the worst fires in like the country. So I did see it's supposed to be worse than Maui. Mind you guys, a few months ago we just left the tragic event with Hurricane Helene, which is supposed to be one of the worst natural disasters in American history for tropical systems. Right now, I did see it's ranked behind Katrina, Harvey, and then Helene's like right at number 3. But Wiki did not update it to the now inflated numbers. So whenever the National Weather Service finish and gets their final numbers for last year's hurricane season, they will see where Hurricane Helene has like fit in. I know Katrina, they on Wiki is like 125 billion. I know on the National Weather Service like over 201 or 200 or something for gross we're not a roast, but inflation right now. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that like plays out. But overall, what we're saying to that is we just had major, major hurricane, which is supposed to be like the worst in North Carolina's history, and the worst, one of the worst in this country, like the top five at least. And then we have these wildfires, which are supposed to be the worst in the country's history as far as fires. And we have two major back-to-back systems that just happened at the same time. So, 2025 was rolling in and burning, and a lot of people that are saying conspiracy. A lot of people are like, the government's doing. A lot of people are saying that, Hollywood's doing and stuff like that. Me personally, I just don't believe the conspiracies. I'm more of a science person. Things make sense with the weather, and like once you understand like the weather, like how jet streams and wind patterns and stuff like that works, it just makes more sense to like go off of that versus, people are like, we don't know what's causing this, and we don't know what's going on. When realistically and scientifically, low pressure is coming in, and lows happen all the time throughout this country. Low pressure is on the East Coast, especially like out in the Gulf and Atlantic. Low pressure, like hurricanes, like the center of the low is like in the middle, like the eye of a hurricane. That's like the center of low pressure, and you have all the wind, like it just goes like around that. It's like the center is very calm, but the stronger the low is, you have like very intense winds, like kind of around the eye of the hurricane. It's like that's why you see like the heavier wind bands when we closer to the center. And once you get to the center, it's very calm. So that's kind of similar to this setup, but no rain, and the winds are coming down from the north. So it's not like a eye. It's not very close and circular. It's just very coming down from the north. It's coming over those hills with the stand and the winds, and just kind of preempted. Next, we have the last thing I'm gonna talk about here is the Hurricane Helene. The victims getting kicked out. This did not make mainstream media as well, but I just kind of came across it. So, Hurricane Helene happened a few months ago, and FEMA did give out some vouchers for housing and temporary assistance, and it looks like that's supposed to end pretty soon. And as you guys know, like I just mentioned a few weeks ago, not a few weeks, but as I just mentioned literally like a few minutes ago, the system that hit California is coming over, down to the southeast and going to North Carolina as snow. So with that, it's gonna be snowing, it's gonna be very cold, and people are getting thrown out into the streets. People are getting thrown out of their hotels and like losing the voucher benefits from FEMA. So I did want to talk about that here. FEMA is funded through Congress, not the president. So Biden or Trump, that has nothing to do with FEMA. I wish people would stop politicizing natural disasters. People stop politicizing Helene and California and other things that happen, and actually focus on sharing information and benefiting people versus making everything so political. But FEMA itself is funded by Congress, and I guess I don't really know how to help in this situation. What the Helene victims kicked out, I just know calling Congress in whatever district you live in, and if you live in North Carolina, calling like your local representative in Congress. And North Carolina has 14 districts right now. So whatever district you live in, call your local congressman in the House. Let them know that, hey, they need some more funding. That's probably the best way to help out. I did see there's some protests going on in Asheville, and we'll just see where that goes. I just literally seen that happen today. So we'll see where that goes on for the rest of the year. But 2025 has came in hot, y'all. And I just want to come here and talk about that with y'all. It has been a year. But let me know your thoughts on everything, and I am out.